Welcome to the party, pal. Happy Sunday. As a matter of fact, happy Easter. It is April 4th, 2021, Easter Sunday. I hope you have a ton of eggs in your hands and you're sitting down to enjoy your old pal, Master Accounts review another box set on this lovely Sunday, or whatever day it is you happen to be watching this. What are we going to be talking about today? Well, it's got a ton of punching in it. It also has some unfortunate elements that make it quite distasteful. I'll get to that. I'm talking about the Lucky Stars 3-film collection here from Eureka Films. Odds are you've heard of it or you've seen me unbox it on a Mail Day Monday episode. This is a nice little shiny cover. I mean, you know, it's a good looking cover. But the movie's good. The cover is the cover. Oh, wow, beautiful slip. Oh, fantastic. But are the movies worth it? Well, let's talk about that. Let's remove this beautiful little slip and reveal the case. I'll show you the way they come packed. I mean, this is essentially a box set, even though it's one emery case. You get a booklet, which is always welcomed. Whoa, what's that movie? You know what? I'll take the booklet out first. How about I do that? Take the booklet. These are hard to get out. Take the booklet out. I'm going to show you the booklet. There's the booklet. The typical writing on pretty much the entire franchise, from what I understand. I've only perused it. I don't have time to read the whole thing. I'm going to take that out because I'm trying to show you something. There's no reversible sleeve, but you do get a picture of the cast there, the Lucky Stars. That's from part 2, I believe. Winners and Sinners is part 1. Well, technically, they're not really sequels, which I'll get to in a minute. Winners and Sinners is here. Then you get My Lucky Stars, and then you get Twinkle, Twinkle Lucky Stars. The discs have some really fun artwork on it. And I think the best way to do this is to break it down per movie. Obviously, that's how these reviews work. So let's start with Winners and Sinners. Winners and Sinners is by far my favorite in this set. This is a wonderful, wonderful movie. I'm not a big fan of Chinese comedies. I feel like sometimes they're a little too stupid, for lack of a better word. So I wasn't really excited about that element when coming into this box set. But this one has some really clever gags, really great humor, and honestly, the best fights in the entire franchise, because they're not really connected. I'll get to that in a minute. What you have here is 5 ex-cons who meet in prison. They're all, cat burglars or jewelry thieves, things like that. They all meet in prison to become friends. And when they escape, they decide to start a cleaning business called the Lucky Stars. So they do this, and while they're doing their cleaning business, they run into Jackie Chan's character, who is a cop. Now, false advertising right off the bat. Before I go any further, Jackie Chan is barely in these movies, but you can see he's prominently featured in this artwork. Jackie Chan is barely in this movie. He is a supporting actor at best. He's actually probably in the first one the most, and probably the most important to the plot in the first one. The other ones, he's almost like a supporting character. He comes in for 1 or 2 scenes. And the outstanding scene in Winners and Sinners is the ultimate car chase, where it's the villains are fleeing in a car, and it's Jackie chasing after them on roller skates on a highway, and he zips between car to car to hold on to, a la Marty McFly. And then there's a scene where he goes under a goddamn 18-wheeler on roller skates. I was scared for him. I was genuinely scared for him. And when I saw him looking at the undercarriage of the truck, I'm like, no, Jackie, don't do it. Jackie, don't do it. It's not worth it. He fucking did it. And you know what? It was kind of worth it. It was amazing. That is a standout sequence. There's nothing like that in the other movies when it comes to big Jackie stunts. But that's one of the reasons I think Winners and Sinners shines, because there's great stunts, great action, and the jokes and the humor are actually good. And they make you laugh. I laughed quite a bit out loud, and I was shocked that this was so clever. There is one thing in Winners and Sinners I didn't like, which may turn off a lot of people. For the sake of a gag, they kill a baby turtle. Now, I'm pretty sure it was a real baby turtle, because why would they spend the time and money to make a fake baby turtle when for those of you who don't know, baby turtles are all over China. If I go to Chinatown here in LA, there's baby turtles everywhere. They have so many baby turtles, and there's a scene where I'll paint the picture. There's a scene where Jackie's gonna go meet his boss, his chief of police, and he's got 2 baby turtles, and he's playing with the turtles, and he comes in and he stands and he steps on something, hear a crunch, and we're like, oh shit, what? He looks down, oh, it's just my pencil sharpener. Oh wow, okay. Then he turns and he steps on something else. You're like, oh no, it's not gonna be the turtle. It's gonna be another something else. It's gonna be like we're gonna think, oh shit, he really stepped on the turtle, but it's gonna be something like potato chips. He lifts up his foot. It's the turtle. They killed the turtle for a stupid joke. That prevents me from wanting to show I was going to show this to the kids. And I go, let me show this to the Chaos Kids. I think they'll really get a kick out of this. But because a turtle dies, for no reason, I think that would turn them off, and that's something I don't want to share with them. So Winners and Sinners is not perfect, but for me, this is a 4-star movie. Winners and Sinners. Okay, next. My Lucky Stars and Twinkle Twinkle Lucky Stars are actually sequels. Now, here's what happens. In Lucky Stars, Sammo Hung, who directs all the movies, comes back with the 5 guys that were established in Part 1. However, they all have different names, and now they all have slightly different backstories. So I was starting wondering, I was like, wait a minute, I thought this was Part 2. This isn't Part 2? Why do they have different names? There's one guy who turns out to be an undercover cop, and now he's a criminal. I mean, it's essentially the same characters, but with different names and slightly altered backstories. It's very confusing. It's very confusing. It almost feels like Winners and Sinners is completely unconnected to the Lucky Stars, even though in Winners and Sinners they call themselves the Lucky Stars Cleaning Company. It's very confusing. It's almost like, did they see the first movie? Did they not realize they had names? Because in the first movie, Sammo Hung goes by the name Teapot. In this one, and in Part 2 and 3, that's what I'm going to call him for right now, the next 2 installments, he goes by Francolin Greens. Francolin Greens. What the fuck does that mean? What the hell's a Francolin? Anyway, that was weird. And it took me about an hour to sort of just like accept it. It was like, wait a minute, but I don't understand. Why did they change everything around? Wait, hold on a minute. But wasn't this guy... what's going on? And then I said, okay, well, what if it's kind of like an American Horror Story thing? It's the same cast, okay, same director. Yun Biao has a bigger part to play. He cameos in this, by the way. Yun features on the cover. He's really only a big part in the 3rd movie. Yun Biao has like one scene in Part 1 where he fights Jackie real quick. In Part 2, they're partners. Yun Biao and Jackie, and Yun Biao gets captured early on, so he's only in the beginning and at the end of the movie, and so is Jackie, to be fair. He's barely in this goddamn movie. He's like a supporting character in this movie, which is weird because they're selling it like a Jackie Chan vehicle. This is the Sammo Hung show. This is the Sammo Hung show, and he's great in it. It's actually made me a bigger Sammo Hung fan of these movies. I wasn't a huge fan of his. Now I might pick up that Eastern Condors 3-pack that I think Eureka put out. I think I'm going to grab that because I really like Sammo in this. Beside the point. Lucky Stars is about a missing cop. Some bad guys are on the loose, and they need the help of the Lucky Stars because they can infiltrate the bad guys. It doesn't make any sense. Honestly, these movies, especially the last 2, is essentially an excuse for 5 30-something-year-old guys who are complete pervert losers who want to try and score with chicks, or at least touch a girl, cop a feel. It's completely ridiculous that these movies sort of focus so much more attention on these 5 horny guys that apparently are so awfully stupid and unappealing that they cannot get a woman through regular means. So most of the movie is them trying to hit on girls, trying to come up with crazy scenarios. Like in the second movie, there's a scene where they all take turns playing robbers and tying one of the other guys up with the main girl in the movie, and they get tied up with her, and they're like, oh, I got tied up with you. And then another guy comes in and rescues them, and then they switch places and become burglars. And the scene goes on for like 15 minutes. So this has a good balance of comedy and action. These 2 are a fucking mess. The second one is definitely way more of a comedy, barely any action, but more action than the 3rd one does. Wait till we get to the 3rd one. The standout sequence in part 2, My Lucky Stars, is Jackie having a kind of karate fight. He investigates a haunted house, and he goes through fighting animatronics and random ninjas that pop out. But it doesn't make any sense, because why would those ninjas pop out? That's a haunted house that children and families go into. Why would they know to kill Jackie's character? It didn't make any sense, honestly. Even within the context of the movie, it didn't make sense how those guys would be going after him. If it sounds like I'm saying a lot of junk, it's because these movies are very junky. Like, there's no real plot. There's a plot, but it's so vague, so faint. It's really just an excuse for these 5 dudes to act like the stereotypical Asian pervert. I hate to say it, but that's kind of what it is. And it's even worse in part 3. Lucky Stars gets maybe 3 stars. That's 2 stars. I'll go with 2 stars. Lastly, Twinkle, Twinkle, Lucky Stars. This has the most screen time for Yun Biao, but the least screen time for Jackie Chan. There's long stretches where he doesn't have anything to do with the plot. Essentially, what you have here is a boner comedy. This is essentially a boner comedy about 5 losery dudes who apparently have never seen a woman naked in their life. And a good bulk of the movie, I would say, it's like 90-minute movie, a little over 90 minutes. I would say a good hour and 10 minutes is these fucking losery dudes trying to score with chicks. Or trying to come up with some kind of harebrained scheme to get close to a girl. Or to see them naked. There's a protracted sequence where they contact a witch doctor, and one of them is given special powers to control women with a voodoo doll. It's just like, after a while, like, wait, I thought this was an action movie. We don't even have an action plot until 30 minutes into this movie. It's just these losery, horn dogs on vacation trying to get laid. It's not what I signed up for. But it is a direct sequel to Lucky Stars, for what it's worth. Essentially, the plot here, you have... This one was about... they all run together. This one was about counterfeit money. This one was about, I don't remember. And this one was about, gosh, they're all just, honestly, I was very disappointed. They're all just nothing. This one was about whatever. This was really, it was about assassins. That's right. It's about assassins that were trying to target other bad people, and the cops tried to stop them. This had a serious lack of villains. This had a serious lack of any kind of plot beyond the boner comedy. But no turtles died during the making of this movie, so I guess it's got... Maybe I'll give it 1 star. I'll give it 1 star for that. But I was very sorely disappointed with these movies. Now, this is new to me. I'll be honest. This... I've watched a ton of Hong Kong films, but these films are new to me. And most of the Jackie output that I've seen is stuff that's already been available elsewhere. Drunken Master, Super Cop, that kind of stuff. So this era, the 80s Jackie films aren't necessarily my favorites, but I gave it a shot because I heard really good things, and I love the cover, and I thought, it'd be great to see all 3 of them team up and like in a trilogy. It's not a trilogy, number 1, and the 2 movies that are connected are just awful. Just awful. I don't find it funny, and I can't imagine an audience, even back then in 1985 or whatever, found their antics funny at all. It's honestly kind of embarrassing, and you honestly just, it's so cringy that you wonder why no one said, we shouldn't do this. Let's come up with a better story than let's try to dig under the sand, so we can pop up where these girls are sunbathing on the beach. That sounds like a Looney Tunes plot. This isn't a plot for 30-something-year-olds who should have been laid by now. It's embarrassing and stupid and not funny, and it's almost like you're shaking your head like, what are they doing, man? What are you doing? It's almost like this isn't even like made by adults. It's very strange. It's almost like kids made this movie, but adults star in it. It's very bizarre. The fights are good though. I'm not gonna knock the fights. The fighting is good, and all that stuff. It certainly delivers when it comes to the action, but the action diminishes as the movies go along. So keep that in mind if you're interested in getting the Lucky Stars box set. Here's what I'm gonna do. There's a ton of special features here, and I'm gonna take a picture of the box, the back of the box here. Feel free to pause at your leisure and see what's available. There's a ton. There's a wealth of special features here, and I think you'll get a kick out of if you like these movies. And if you do like them, please let me know, pal, in the comments down below. Okay, my friend, I'm going to leave you for now. Enjoy the rest of your day. I hope you enjoyed my disappointed review of the Lucky Stars box set. If they release, I think there's other movies. If they release other movies, I'm not sure that I'll be picking it up. I might find a way to try before I buy, but I was so disappointed with the last two. But Winners and Sinners is 100% one of my new favorite Hong Kong films, despite the turtle murder that was completely unnecessary and just taints the whole movie. And I think me telling you that is probably going to turn off a lot of people. Okay, let's call it a day, pal. I love you. As a matter of fact, I love you just the way you are. You are important. You're special. You matter. Not just to me, but to the world at large. Now, I hope you'll be here tomorrow. I know I will, because I remain to be continued.